Yay!
It caught that.
Anyways, welcome, Rainbows and Razorblades Productions, where chaos reigns in all of our content. Yay! I'm
Yeah.
tired.
So this chaos commentary is where you get two tabletop role-playing nerds on talking about games from different perspectives. One from the more experienced perspective, Kristen, and one from the more casual player, me, which has quickly become a whole lot less casual running and playing on this channel. So much so that tonight's subject is that we have written a tabletop role-playing game and published it on RPG. It was live as of yesterday.
We are published, bitches.
We are published authors. It is astoundingly weird to say that in any capacity, but fucking awesome at the same time. I'm so stoked. I'm telling even people that don't give a shit about tabletop role playing games, I'm like, guess what I did?
Yeah, I've been telling people, I'm all like, I don't care. You might not even know what I'm talking about, but hey, we did thing.
Well, I even told my stepmom when I saw her on Monday, she has no idea what the actual gist of what this is all about. She understands what Dungeons and Dragons is, because I mean, she was mostly an adult through the 80s satanic panic, but past that she doesn't quite understand. So, but anyway, I was like, so we wrote a game and now I'm a published author and this is really fucking cool. She was very excited for me. She was very proud, but it was just funny. Just you could see she's like, I have no idea what this all means, but cool. She understood
Right.
the published part.
That's kind of how my mom was. Like, she gets gaming probably a little bit better than your stepmom. But she's just like, okay, awesome.
Yeah, pretty much. But, it's still really super cool.
Yes, absolutely.
So we have come up with this game. It was from the Pocket Quest contest this year, and the theme was summer camp. So Kristen came up with this name as soon as it switches over.
Yes, Camp Gallowglass. Our basic idea going into it was demigods at camp, but using it's both Celtic and Norse pantheons. And on the Isle of Man, those that are of Gael Celt background are called the Gallowglass. And it's a really cool word. And so I was like, yes, this is the name.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I loved it. And she came up with just this one single line that informed the opening story that I wrote that came after the cool poem she wrote. But we'll get to that part in a minute here. Let's start with the illustration here, which I did all of this myself. This is not pre-generated pieces. I made all of these things. And the
Hire her for art.
Yes, I actually am a graphic designer. And
oh shit, I should make a graphic designer command for you. I'm gonna make a note of that.
yes, that would be cool. I need to put my website up. I'm partway there now. But anyway, so on the cover, what I used for the inspiration for this was old Celtic and Norse architecture, as much as I could research. So I actually made these based off of source art that I found on freaking Google image search. But I just basically had a side by side and was looking at it. It's like, okay, I'm gonna draw this here. Oh, it's this weird slanty asymmetrical roof for the Norse, and the Celtic one looks like a boob. So it came together pretty easy once I got the source art in the background. Of course, it's pretty simple stuff, but this was really fun to do. I really enjoy doing the illustrative stuff. So this was a good time.
Hi,
Shane. Whoa. So then we go into, let's go through here. Of course, the table of contents. So we actually have table of contents, credits and everything. And special thanks to our dear friend Chad, because we love him.
And we probably wouldn't have known about it even without him. So
that's true.
He was our muse.
He did, in fact, tell us about the contest and then listen to us when we started talking about our ideas and everything. So super awesome. We appreciate everything. So then we go into the introduction, which has this bitchin' poem that Kristen wrote, just like pulled out of I don't even fucking know where. So she can tell us because it was fantastic.
So I had the idea that with the introduction, we needed a poem. It's just necessary. And so I looked up Gale Norse or Gallowglass poetry, and I found an entire book on it and fell down a rabbit hole and started reading a bunch of random stuff. And so then I was like, all right, I have ideas of where this should go, but now I know like pentameter to use and like the type of language. So it came out really good and I really like it. And I'm gonna have to zoom in on this to actually read it because I'm on one screen tonight and yeah. Fain we remember our forebears on this isle o' adventure and song. All of our ancestors that came here whispered that here we belong. I'm very proud of it. It was like a 5 second thing, at least in my head, but it was more like a 2 or 3 day thing.
I don't know. You just popped up with it, and I was like, "That's fucking badass." That is going right at the top of the introduction before the introduction story, because when we started talking about this, and she gave me the name, originally the name she gave me was "Through the Gates of Gallowglass," which I was like, "That's too long for an actual title for something that we need to market, and it's going to be small." So I was like, "But." I love the line and I want to use it. So when I sat down, I actually wrote this introduction paragraph here and I used it as the last part of it. But that line really informed the beginning formation of the story. So it was really like a story prompt for me. And then we stuck this beautiful poem at the beginning. So now we have a whole setting. So we have a camp that is buried in the Isle of Man, enchanted so nobody can see it. And if we get to the actual like welcome area that talks about the setting in the next page, basically I even go into that it's enchanted. So off one of the corners of the northern tip of the island, there's actually more landmass there, but nobody can see it because it's enchanted. Like even boats would pass through it. It's so deeply enchanted and so old. Just to kind of justify how we have this real world setting, but nobody can find it, and it's really like you know, because the Isle of Man is settled and explored, I wanted to add a piece to it where we could do whatever the hell we want. We could name the mountains in it whatever we want. We can do whatever, and nobody's gonna come at us. Well, really, that doesn't exist there. So you should put it over here or take it out. So I wanted us to have like a full open area where we could do whatever the hell we wanted. So even go into like just little details like that, just little things I wanted to throw in, based on some of the stuff that she and I had talked about as we were putting this together, just to make it really kind of even though it's a rules like game, just give you a whole like idea of what it's about, what you're supposed to be doing. So it goes into being, who's who. So your players are campers, and then you as the game master are actually the activities director, and you're the one that picks the activities they do. You pick, whatever adventures you send them on. You can send them to some sort of hellmouth cave in the depths of the mountain to retrieve some dumbass item that might get them killed. Whatever. It could be monster of the week. And it goes into all of that here. So it's pretty cool. But at the start of it, the first thing you pick is from the Pantheon section, and I'll let Kristen explain this part of the mechanism, because she came up with all this. She did all this research. It's really fucking cool.
So when we started this, like, of course, naturally, my mythologically trained brain is like, all right, we're gonna have every single mythology possible. And Kat's like, no, you need to narrow it down.
I'm like, nope.
Small and rules lie.
Small scope. We can add pieces later. What we decided when I was like narrow it down is that we're gonna make a whole. This is gonna be a smaller piece of a much larger thing we're gonna do later. But yeah, sorry.
You're fine. So, my two main mythology rabbit holes I fall down because of my ancestry are Celtic and Norse, because it is almost exactly 50-50. That is all of my bloodline. So I went through and I I did like I had like word vomit paragraphs of just the most random stuff I could find about both pantheons, just to kind of like, it was research and to get myself into the right frame, and like there was possibilities to do more with, hey, whichever pantheon you choose, that might give you a little bump too. But again, this is more rules light, so we're like, we'll just leave it to what parent you decide you are descended from. And so I went through and I compared the various deities in the pantheons. And, there's some of the big name ones in there. Like we have Loki and Odin and, Lu, like some of the really big ones. But I also wanted to throw in some of the ones that aren't as well known. And so I got to go down that rabbit hole and learn more about that. And so for each of the gods, we do have, again, I probably should have pulled this up as a PDF because I can't see that well.
Would you like me to send it to you?
I have it in the thing. I just gotta pull it up.
Well, you're pulling it up. So, like she said, she did a whole lot. Like I have a whole wealth of information so that when we pull together the much larger world that we want to build this in, or make this part of, there's still like paragraphs of information and more in-depth stuff about all of the things she looked up. She did some exhaustive research. We sat at a coffee shop for hours one day, and just like by the end of it, I'm still like going on about something else because I was on a total tear about part of this. And she's just like, I'm done. And then sat there for like half an hour bleary-eyed while I'm still like typing away because I'm all excited. But
Okay,
she
so I
like,
lied. I don't have it there, but I'm just gonna look on Evernote because I have the stuff there anyway.
that's true. Well, I changed some stuff, so that's where you're
Well,
gonna...
I mean, like the basics of what was being used. Dear Evernote, no, I never want to upgrade. Thank you.
No.
So for each of the deities, I made sure that we had what domain they are a deity of. So we've got beauty, we've got justice, we've got mischief, chaos, we've got war. I think that's, oh, and then healing. So we've got 5 deities from each of the pantheons, and then laid out what their symbol is, so that you can have like, you can say that you have insignia or maybe a brooch or a clasp or something that has the insignia on it, and you don't have to go looking for it. And then a gift to their children. So each player, depending on which parent they pick, once a day gets a bonus to something based on that, that they can utilize in quite a few different ways, actually. But it's got a breadth and scope that can absolutely be expanded on later. But so there's a couple that are longer, a couple that are shorter. We don't go into anything about beyond those 2 points about the gods, because frankly, this is supposed to be run as a one shot, maybe, a short little mini campaign, but we've got the bones in there so that you can run it as something longer. But it's something for people that are like, all right, I want to play a game, but we want it to be something that's just going to be, a couple hours. So this is something they can pick up. It's, not terribly long, not terribly involved, and they can kind of just let their imagination take them where it will for it. And there's my word vomit about it.
There's her word vomit. It's fantastic. She has a lot of them. I actually did send you the PDF so you could pull it up.
Okay.
But we have some cool ones in here. Like I can't even remember which one was my favorite anymore because I spent a bunch of hours Sunday night. I was I was working on this until like 9:30 Sunday night to get it published. So I was doing all this formatting. So I'm a little brain dead still from my weekend because I crammed and finished a class for school and then did this. But there's some really cool ones here, so you can have visions and things like that. And they tie into what comes next, which is our actual game mechanics. So we made character creation pretty cut and dry. So like Kristen said, this is meant to be run as a one shot or maybe up to 4 week mini campaign. The whole premise of summer camp, when kids go to summer camp, they don't stay for more than a month at most, usually about a week. So everything is set so that you don't get these big overblown characters unless unless your GM allows it and it says it's cool. Um, your character doesn't go past level 3. Your skills don't go past level 3. Your stats can go up, but you only get a certain amount of points per level to distribute for those stats. And that's just because we didn't want this to have someone come in and be like, well, I have 10 points to distribute, so I'm going to drop these here. And then when you give me skill points, I'm going to drop them here and have like all these massive amount of skills. You know, you have to level up certain things before you can get other things. You know, more like you do when you learn any skill at a camp. You have to like be able to do it well and pass a certain test or a certain threshold to be able to say, okay, now I'll go learn something else. But the base of it is that you're only there for a few weeks, so feasibly you're not going to go from a level 1 character to a level 10 character in 4 weeks. You know, I mean, it's fantasy, so I guess in some settings you could, but in our setting, no, not that's not how this one's going to work, at least at its base. It's written pretty broadly though, so there's lots of places where it's basically, you know, it's really up to you how you play it, but this is how we're putting it for you and presenting it to you. So you'll have 5 basic stats. The character creation is 5 whole steps. If you pick your pantheon, you distribute your stat points, you pick your skills, distribute those points. Note any weapons that you're going to have. You can pick whatever. We don't even have like a weapons guide. So if you pick the skill of bladed weapon, you pick sword, dagger, axe. I don't have a weapons glossary in here or anything. If it's listed here in the skill tree, that's what you got.
And it's based off your skill in it. It's not like, oh, you've got a sword, so you get a +1 damage because of slashing or whatever. It's basically just what you can bring to bear with your skill with it.
Right, which leads to where we are going with our dice rolls. So when we first started talking about this at the outset, where Kristen was like, let's do D8s. They're really neglected in terms of dice. And I was like, cool.
And then when you play, you can say you're having a date.
Oh my God. Have you been waiting 3 months to pull that fucking joke?
I'm playing the long game, baby.
Oh, that is a really long game. You well played. That's fucking terrible and amazing. So, oh, yes, we're happy to see you too, Rob. We're glad you were able to join us. So basically, your skill levels. Level 1, for any skill roll you have, you get a D4. That's it. We'll get to how a lot of that works later. Level 2, there's where the D8 is. You roll your D8. Level 3 is a D8 plus and a +1 bonus for anything, because by the time you're going to get to level 3, you probably have other stuff to stack with it, so we didn't want these rolls to be so overblown that you can one-hit everything you come across, or, you know, every sneaking thing you do, you succeed because there's no way to counteract it because your rolls are so high. So again, this is made so your kids, you might get caught or you might get hurt if you're not careful. There's, you know, we're trying to keep a balance. So there's actually consequences, because when you're a kid and you fuck up, there's consequences. When we get to the end part here with the GM stuff, can't wait to tell you what one of those is. I'm excited because I came up with this one. I'm super stoked about it. So basically we have 5 different sections in terms of like what skills you have. You've got fighting, dark magic, which is of course your elemental stuff, light magic, which is some healing, and there is some offensive white magic, like holy light, I think is one of them I put here. Oh, holy light bolt, blinding lights, holy flames. Your cunning, which is all of your sneaky underhanded stuff. We've got like duplicity, thievery, control is a cool one, because one of the skills is body puppets. So if you have like a skill, you can try to like body puppet someone's like hand or something, or, you know,
like that, our puppeteer of the macabre.
Yes. You know, or be like some asshole who takes your fist and slaps you with and says, oh, you're hitting yourself, you know, that jackass. Um, and then technical, which is like repairing things. That's where your outdoorsman skills would be, like tracking, building. We have alchemy in there. So we have some cool stuff built in, and then we also have the ability to earn merit badges, and this is where you get extra little boosts for things. And all of these extra things, so the merit badges and then the gifts from the pantheons that Kristen came up with, these are all once a day uses. So you can't spam out these skills, these extra boosts, because some of them are pretty cool, or some of them could turn the tide, but you only get them once a day. So the point of that is so that you have to be careful and think about when you're going to use the thing. So basically you have
Michael looked at this on DriveThruRPG today, and I don't think he realized it was us.
Yes, that is us. That is amazing. That makes my day. That somebody just randomly found it. Because the lady who is the contact for Pocket Quest, like, I didn't realize we had to email her to let her know, so I did that this morning. So she just like attached us to it today. So that's super cool. So yeah, you get like cool things like, +1 to cunning roll is a Sly Fox badge. So on the back end, the mechanism is that the GM can decide when and where you can earn these badges, or you can ask to try and earn these badges, and the GM will have to come up with something. So as a GM, you also have to be prepared for like some on the fly stuff, because there are times when you're like, hey, how do I do this? Some kids will be
And we've
more
got some
proactive.
activities built in to help with that, where we're like, hey, here's some ideas, kind of thing, like obstacle courses, archery, stuff you would do at camp.
Yeah, well, and that's all in the GM section, so we'll roll through that, because you came up with a lot of those activities and things. Like, I came up with like 3, I think, and the rest I took from your list. So, that part's, pretty cool, because there's little boosts that you get for earning that badge. But you only get, if you have like 4 or 5 badges, you only have 3 that you can keep active at any time. You can swap them out, but you can't do it in battle. So if you've got 3 badges on and one of them doesn't work for what you're in, well, switch it out later. But again, a lot of this is all built in, so you have choices, and you have to be more cognizant of it. You can't just go throwing your shit around and completely like blowing through everything. It's not fun for everybody if you win everything or you're perfect at everything.
Yes.
So then we have the actual combat, which again is short and simple. It's your usual, where you roll initiative. I think, did I put, I don't think we decided what dice you roll to get initiative.
Yeah, we did. Roll 1d8 at the start of battle to determine player and opponent turn order.
Oh shit, we did figure that out, and I put it in there. See, I like all these paragraphs that explain stuff. I wrote all of these in a daze on Sunday night. We had the idea of what we wanted them to be, and we knew what we wanted them to be, but they were not written anywhere until Sunday night. So
last minute ADHD push, baby.
No, actually it was Sunday afternoon before I took my test, because I handed Kristen a stack of all of the stuff from the book minus the GM stuff and said, here, proofread this while I take my test. So I wrote, Sunday was a hell of a time, and I still have not had my real celebratory beer for that. So but the action, so when you roll to hit, to sneak, to whatever you're doing, you roll a d4, and you have 2 options, succeed or fail. And there, within those 2 options, there's a real fail, where you have a -1 to any bonus action in a battle. Your 2, which is just you fail. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. 3, you succeed. It's just normal. And then if you hit 4, that's your best success, so you get a +1 to that action's effect. So, these are just little things to help boost and get you through battles and anything else you're trying to accomplish. And then
while still giving a tiers to successes and failures, so that it's not just, hey, you succeed, hey, you fail.
yeah, because it makes it interesting. It gives a little bit more to it than you normally would with just, oh, did you hit? Okay, now roll for damage. And there's the explanation on how you roll for your damage, and that's based on your skill. So that would be where your D4, your D8, or your D8 +1 bonus come in. You add that to the applicable stat, and that's you know, how that all comes out to play. So there's a little bit of math, a little crunchy math, but nothing like major. We try to keep that part super simple because that's like part of like being light on the rules and being at quick plays. You don't want to have to figure out how much fucking math you want to do. You know, we're not going for algebra here. So, and then the bonus action is not like another attack. It's like movement or changing a weapon and things like that. So it's
Dodging
pretty...
counterattacks if you hold it. Yeah.
You can hold your counterattack, but if you don't use your bonus action before the top of the next initiative, you lose it. So it's a use it or lose it too. You can't just hang on to it forever. But yeah, that's that. And then, you know, we have an explanation of taking damage so that at least you know, like, how's this going to hurt and what does this stack up against? And in this case, it stacks up against your stamina and your hit points. That goes from your hit points. You get 25 of those to start, and you get 5 hit points per level. You're
all kids. You're not like extra bulky or wearing armor or anything like that. So we figured a base HP. You can figure out your stamina. If you're like, you know, somebody that decides that's what you want, then that's going to help you reduce damage that you take.
Yeah, that's your damage reduction stat basically. You know, so if you're a jack, you might have higher stamina because you're going to be able to handle more shit. You know, if you're a nerd, you might have more in your wits because that's your thing. So you're going to be more studious and study things. So everything, if you go back and look in the character creation, we actually list out what thing goes to what stat. Because I don't know about you guys, but one of my big beefs with a lot of games is when you look at the skills, they don't tell you what stat it's associated with. You gotta guess. And I mean, most of it's logical if you've played a few games, but if you've never played a game, you have no idea what you're associating with or what you're stacking it for. So I wanted this to be so basic and explanatory so that even like someone new could come along and be like, oh, okay, so I add my attack plus this little roll right here. Okay, cool. So we try to keep it simple. And then we get to the activity director. So you want to so basically as the activity director, you're running the camp and you're the one that will make all of the activities and things. And some of these ones are pretty cool that Kristen came up with. You want to talk about some of these ones?
But yeah, we liked the idea of an activities director since this is camp. You're not a game master. You're not a dungeon master. You're you know, you're the one that's guiding them through their days. And you can come up with NPCs that are camp counselors and all that to zhuzh it up a bit. But as far as like the activities go, where they can earn skill points or merit badges, we've got stuff like obstacle course, run the course and roll 1d4 to get past each obstacle. Sparring, fight hand-to-hand combat, or fight the hand-to-hand combat instructor. I can read. Nature hike, practice outdoor skills like tracking and navigation. Women's competition.
Women's competition. What are we battling? What's our women competition? Are we going to?
You probably shouldn't have let me read tonight. Apparently.
Okay, I mean we can go back to me just reading this stuff off. I mean, but what is the women's competition? Is that where you complain about your cramps back and forth? See who's worse.
Women's competition. That's when we're Amazons. Damn it.
Oh, so it's me like some sort of like Amazonian gladiator festival. Okay, cool.
Weapons competition. Compete against other weapons user for SP and prizes. So this is where you can bring out archery or just sparring against each other, any of that sort of thing. Magic practice. Call in your powers to overcome a set of obstacles. And a lot of it is you can throw in whatever else you want. Like with any other part of our game, you can add in other things that make sense. We made this as like a baseline, but you can always add in like another skill or another thing.
Another activity or
merit badge. That's the word I was
the merit badges are pretty open. So we left everything pretty broad. We had some specific ones that tied each one of the merit badges we listed ties to each section of the skill tree. But past that, we left it broad. Everything, as you go out through the book, says, this is what we're giving you, but you can make up whatever the hell you want. We're just kind of giving you something to go off of if you need
giving you a baseline. Yeah.
Some inspiration.
Yes. And then for adventures, we've given, some quests to undertake. Uh, when you're at camp, you're going to play games. Some of these are built off of that. Hide and seek, but with consequences. That was one of my favorite ones.
That one cracked me up so much. Like I could not like if I didn't put anything else that you had picked, that was the one that was going in. Like I was like, I don't give a shit what else we put in here. That's what I want. Oh, thank you, Rob.
Thanks, Rob. Because there's gonna be dangerous stuff around the camp. If you go out in the woods and that's where you're hiding, there'd be monsters out there. Capture the flag. The flag is on the highest peak of the mountains, inhabited by a cryptid of your choice.
Gotta have
Scavenger
a
hunt. 4 scavengers. They could be thieving campers or a little demon who loves mischief, but you have something comes through, steals something from the campers, and so they've got to go steal it back.
So what I pictured here for the demon that loves mischief is Danny and his characters that are kleptomaniacs. I just picture one of Danny's characters. For those of you who don't know, he plays on our Monday night game and has played in other one shots with us, and I adore him and his characters, but they're always kleptos. So I just picture him like sneaking through and like taking, he's like, "Yep, I'm gonna take that. Yep, I take that." In his voice and everything.
Monster badness. A beast is terrorizing the younger campers. Go deep into the forest to slay the creature. And we do have, instead of like a bestiary or anything like that, we gave examples of different tiers of monsters that you can pull out. Because again, you can go and look in the mythology for anything else, and but we've got base stats that kind of go with each level that we'll get to in a minute.
Yeah, you can show that in 1 minute. So we're almost to that one.
And nature hike kidnapping. A notorious criminal snatches party and traps them in a cavern. Escape and return to camp. So, maybe you're doing an overnight out in the forest and it's, the players at your table and they get kidnapped by a band of vampires that decided that they wanted campers and you've got to get out.
Yeah, and I pictured it because that was one of the ones that I did come up with myself. Is I pictured it, you're going on a nature hike, you're supposed to be like either bird watching or cataloging like wild fauna for some other random merit badge your GM came up with, and some criminal that has knowledge of the magic world escaped into the mountains by the camp and snatches you at knife point, and somehow you cannot overcome this, like he enchants you or something. Suddenly you're in a fucking cave and you don't know how you got there, and now you gotta get out, and there's like, I don't know, some giant ass bear at the mouth, and a whole bunch of fun stuff. So that's what I pictured. So I mean, even within that, like we both read, I wrote this and saw something, she read it and saw something else, and we leave it broad so you can figure out how that actually plays out, not a play-by-play of how it's supposed to be. We didn't want it to be anything like that.
And that leads into the instructions over here with outside battle. Most of the game is played via role play and any dice rolls that apply to the situation at hand. So we've got some that don't apply to battle at all, that are like mechanical kind of things, like you can tinker and make stuff, or like other little things like that. And you can, again, find other things that you like and throw in there for them. So you kind of steer your campers through their day, through activities, through games, through, various things like that. And there's a brief breakdown there again of how a battle with a foe would go and the steps that you take to run it, so that it's simple, laid out, and you know exactly what you need to do.
Yeah, and then basically, I didn't change the page number thing you pointed out for me to change. There's a fucking typo.
Oops.
There is bound to be one. There's bound to be one. But the table of contents is so simple, and the combat is listed on a page, I think page 5. So it's not like it's going to be hard to find. It's not a big book. But I was trying to be studious and failed. But it's okay. I'll fix it and re-upload it later. No big deal. but yeah, so I did repeat this. It's kind of a repeat from what's in the combat section. That's why at the end it just says refer to the combat section for the full layout, because there was no point in repeating it again because it's such a short book, and there's nothing more to the combat on the activity director side. It's still the same flow and the same roles and everything for your creatures. There's more of a range, like we'll get to in a minute, but it's still it's the same regardless. So that brings us to the fun one that I came up with called parental intervention. So players get a line. They're not like going where you want them to go, because I mean, we all allow for RP and we leave space for the players to go and do things, but sometimes either they failed a roll and they got caught doing something they weren't supposed to, or they're being a little assy and you want to get them back in the line and rein them back in. Whatever the reason you want to use this mechanism, basically you can look at them and say, I'm going to call your parents. And there is literally, if you go to the next page, if I get there, there's actually a little thing here about calling their parents. And basically you have the camper roll 1d4, and then whatever the consequence is, it's on the table below. So first one, call the human parent, and it's like just put them in detention or something. They're busy, they can't be bothered. So you figure out some minor consequence for them, and then you go on with the game. 2, you call their godly parent, and they're too busy to even be bothered. It goes to voicemail. Well, guess they're just gonna get off easy this time. Number 3, get either parent on the phone and they demand to speak to their child, and the child gets chewed out. They get a whole new asshole rip for whatever fuckery they got into. And that camper is at a -1 disadvantage to all skill rolls in the next battle. And then number 4, either parent shows up. It's bad when the parent shows up. So obviously the consequence is worse. It's going to be, instead of just a -1, they get to roll 1d4, and whatever that number is, they're at a disadvantage. So it could be anywhere from a -1 to a -4, and then you're going to have to figure it the fuck out next time you get into a fight, or the next time you have to do something, because you got yourself into so much trouble your parents showed up and had to beat your ass across the camp. So I thought that would be a fun little mechanism. It makes some consequences when you fail a roll when you're doing something, or someone's being a little extra, whatever reason, they're acting like the assy kid who's free from their parents. You're like, well, I'm gonna call them now, whatever reason. But there's always that possibility that when you're at a camp or even at school as a kid, you're gonna do something, you're gonna call your parents. So I figured this would be a good thing to put in there. Aw, Christian, thank you.
Yay, thank you guys.
You guys
I mean,
are
I guess
so
I could
awesome.
actually use the command now that I've updated it. We have a quick and dirty website that will link you to it. So, huzzah.
Yeah, I did that this afternoon. I was like, okay, let's do this. Took like 10 minutes. So,
oh, and by the way, we're Rainbow Ink Games when we write TTRPG.
yes, Rainbow Ink Games is our publisher name. That's going to be an offshoot from Rainbows and Razor Blades Productions. But yeah, we thought we'd just keep going with the theme. So here we are. Nothing on that website's official, like the final thing. That's just, I wanted to put something up there so we could just send people to that instead of trying to say, oh, go to DriveThruRPG and search for this and blah, blah, blah. You can go there and it goes. And as we add more stuff, because we have plans. We have lots of plans. So as we develop them and put them out, then we can just put them there for you guys.
Yes.
So we talked a little bit about advancement earlier in the game. The game is just designed to be a single session or up to 4 weeks, depending on what you want to do. So we left advancement as an option that can happen during that one shot, because I have played some one shots, and one of the things is like, well, the one shot's cool, and you earn your XP and everything, but you don't use it for anything because you don't get it to the end of the game. So there's really no point. Like when you finish a one shot, you don't even talk about it, but you earned it. Everybody knows you earned something for the adventure you just went on. So rather than making it a mechanism that only happens at the end of the game, if you're going to play another session, it's something that you can get anytime during the game. So you finish like the first half hour, you've accomplished something that you're supposed to, or you get a merit badge, or you did some sort of excellent RP, or pulled off some stunt that was like hella cool. Your DM or your GM, your activities director, can let you level up, give you some skill points, let you advance a little bit, give you some, say your merit badge, that you earned right at the beginning of the game advances to level 2, something like that. So we wrote it so that you can advance during that session rather than not getting to, grow on the merit of what you've done. So we wanted to be able to allow you to do that. I thought that was more appropriate for something that's written to be so short.
Yeah. And we want to give the activities director, the person running the game, the freedom to do what they want with it. Like, we don't want to pigeonhole or make it like this is exactly how you run it. Like, it needs to be more open and more in their hands. So, but when you do have battles, as far as creatures go, we delineated them out by small, medium, and large. Level 1, level 2, level 3. You can decide on how many hit points they have with the range we've given, or you can decide on something else for them, what kind of dice they would have, and then we've got a couple examples. So there's, like, in the small, rabbit, wolf, catfish, octopus, alligators, hawk, falcon, or dragar. Those are Irish zombies, and they're very fun.
I rearranged them just a little bit because there were a couple of things I thought would go here and there a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I think I added a couple things.
You get up into the medium, you've got, some normal things like bear or a boar. We've also got baby dragon, siren, dwarves, elves, giants, a banshee, witches, maybe a kelpie. When you get up to the large and you get, a little bit more into it, the creature examples are actually taken from almost exclusively either Gaelic or Gaelic and Celtic are the same thing. Celtic or Norse mythology and stories. So we've got Sleipnir, Jormungandr, Balor, Fenrir, Adulahan, Direk Du. Those are vampires. The Loch Ness Monster, a full dragon, the Abhertok, or Fomorians. And again, they can look these things up and actually figure out what they are, but I just like the names.
I want somebody to throw a Loch Ness Monster at their players, and the only way you can defeat him is if you give him 350. That would make my life. That would just totally my life right there. And I also, for anybody who has just purchased the game, I will let you know I'm gonna make a couple updates to it, and just to tweak a couple of things I'm noticing as we're going through, and now that I've had some time to, like, I don't know, sleep for 5 minutes, that I can see. And when we get to it, actually, the character sheet. I even made a character sheet for y'all. And it is short, simple, and to the point. You put all of the few things that you do to build your character right in there. This will be updated so it's a fillable PDF for anybody who wants such a thing. Otherwise, you can print this out and write on it to your heart's content. But I wanted to make sure that I included it so you don't have to go out and go searching for something that will just do enough, because we have some specific things like the merit badges and whatnot. I wanted to have this for everybody so that they could follow and do their character and have a place to put everything down. Because I've played some games where you don't have that. You just have to kind of like throw it in an Excel spreadsheet, write it on a notepad, So we went there. We gave you everything. So that's it. That's the whole thing.
And then the nice little back page that she made too, which ends on something so fitting. Come join us and walk through the gates of Camp Gallowglass to bring it back around to our introduction and what prompted it.
Yep. So there you have it, guys. That's our game. And I'm like super stoked. Like, when we started talking about this, and like both of us, like she's not diagnosed ADHD, but you can tell her brain works the same fucking way. And both of us, like, throughout all of this, like through doing this channel and everything, we both, like, singly on our own, are pretty good at like, I have this cool idea and it's not going to get past whatever I just told you because, you know, we get ooh shiny and go off on some other flight of fancy. But we sat down and we did this, and I was just like, once we started it, I was like, okay, we need to do this because we started it. And so I'm like up her ass. She probably got annoyed with me on several occasions because I'm like, we have to work.
Well,
She's
no, because
like,
I mean, we needed to do it and we had a deadline because most things we won't. So,
right. It was just funny.
very good for our first one was to have a deadline.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, especially I work good under deadlines because, like, this whole formatting, this whole book that you're looking at was put together in about 3.5 hours on Sunday night when I was tired as fuck. So if you see other errors or weird little spacing, that I'm gonna revise that because this did not exist before 6 p.m. on Sunday night Phoenix, Arizona time. So um but yeah, no, I'm still kind of floored that we actually did it and we actually put it up and we published it. I'm pretty impressed with us. Like,
Yes.
even if like
It
everybody,
was, there was one point where I'm all like, man, I don't know if we're gonna make this in at time. And then Kat's like, all right, no, we're gonna go sit down, we're gonna finish this out, we're gonna get through the last little bit we've got to get through.
and then
And then, but I mean, the formatting, the art, all of that was Kat, and she busted that shit out, and I could not have done it. So
yeah, it was Sunday night, and and I know like both of us were kind of like, are we gonna make the deadline? And I just looked at him like, watch me go, let's do it. So yeah, it was pretty awesome, and like the research stuff that you did, like I wouldn't have done that. I'd have got bored partway through. I'd have fell down a rabbit hole, spent like 2 hours reading about one Norse god, and be like, I'm out. That's it. That's enough.
And then I have an entire research folder on my internet tab that has like 20 different
She's over here writing fucking research papers, and I'm just like, I'm gonna write mechanics. That's how my brain works. I am mechanical. I will write mechanics. You can write the research papers. I'm gonna save that for school.
Then we got together and jointly came up with like the names of the merit badges, and that's when we decided out how we were going to actually do the creatures.
Yeah, because like I had the merit badges in function, like I had them associated with the different skill tree parts that I'd put together for us. But I was like, I don't know what to name them, and I was like, help, because I can't.
So then we sat there and the thesaurus it. I've never stuttered before.
We did thesaurus it. See, now you got me doing it. God damn it. Yes, we did thesaurus it. I can't even talk anymore. Yeah.
Words are hard, y'all. We
Yes.
have that shirt too. And I'm gonna link merch now because
We do have that shirt available for your wearing pleasure. Yeah, no, we sat down, like, I'm terrible at naming things, so she named the game, which is good because I'd have never come up with anything half as cool. And a lot of the name, like the merit badge names, like I named a lot of the skills and the actual, like, the aptitudes is what we're calling them. I named a lot of I think almost all of them. So I did name some stuff, but those were all like very easy things that were practical for the thing. I'm much more practical in a lot of my naming stuff.
one of the running jokes is that she has a book going that she has all these notes on and like has written good chunks of it. Still hasn't named her main character.
That is still fucking true. And I started this book before COVID. I started actually writing the chapters in 2019. So I have extensive fucking notes for this thing, and I started those in 2018. I actually need to go back and revise it. There's chunks of it that I realize need to be vastly rewritten because I've like changed, so many skills. But yeah, the main character still has no name. She has no name. Actually, no. I might have named her in the last couple of months when I started looking at everything again. I might have.
But it was the running joke for a while that naming things is not her jam.
Yeah, naming things is not my jam, and most of the other characters are not named. Like, at all. Like, they're just like, This is
And then I'm
this
the
person.
person that does all of the character building and the world building and never actually gets to the writing when I have my novels.
I will write the fuck out of everything. Like all the big paragraphs of stuff I wrote. She did all of the research, which is like, like I will learn about subjects to write papers on them for school, or I will learn about things to write about other things with them, but I won't write like everything that she wrote. I'm like, just give me word salad that I can work with. And she gave me some fucking word salad in some of these notes. I'm literally looking right now to see because I swear I might have named her.
I mean, for reference on how deep I go into some things, there is a much larger TTRPG project that is next on my list to start tackling. And in the research for that, I have articles like long-term trajectories of human civilization, the transhumanist reader classical and contemporary article, genetic drift. And I've spent
What's genetic drift?
genetic drift is, give me a second, let me actually look at it. It is a mechanism of evolution characterized by random fluctuations in the frequency of a particular version of a gene in a population. Though it primarily affects small isolated populations, the effects of genetic drift can be strong, something causing traits to become overwhelmingly frequent or to disappear from a population.
Oh, I've read about that. I thought it was like some sort of like character mechanism thing that you wrote about, not an actual thing.
No, this is actually like almost everything for that one is straight up real world. How would this impact the game? And I've literally spent days reading about all of this stuff just to inform myself of how this game is going to work.
Okay, where did it go? Does it? Oh, there it is. Oh, I had a moment where the actual fucking 20 pages of, oh, I'm sorry, 35 pages of book I've already written. I couldn't find it for a minute and I was shitting my pants.
Fair.
And somewhere in here, now I'm almost certain somewhere in here I have named her and I can't figure out where I put it, but I'm pretty sure I did. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm definitely the person, like the reason things like Scrivener work well for my brain is I'm like, all right, we're gonna make this note about this character, and then we're gonna have, everything about this. And I'm one of those people that I base a lot of a personality of a person off of their name. So
Yeah, she's got a whole ass personality, but no name. Or she does, I think. I Oh, you know where I wrote it down? In my notebooks that are downstairs. I did because I sat down right around when we started this, and I'm like, you know what? I need to look at this because I have a bunch of notes that I haven't put anywhere else yet, and I need to revise this. And I was like, she needs a name. So I'm pretty sure I did it. So, but yeah, nothing else has a name. Like if you look in the actual document, I was scrolling through and all of the places where there's supposed to be a name are in like brackets with like husband or character or this person. There's one character that there's two characters that have names and have since the beginning. And one of them that has a name is because they're going to be a whole spin-off story. Like I have this whole world where it's got the main story and 3 spin-off things already like listed out. So
but again, as in like our streaming and the complementary aspects of each other, in writing things like TTRPGs, we complement each other. I dig deep into the research of the weirdest random shit, and I word vomit, and I do a lot of the world building and the setting, and then she comes in with the mechanic and the logical side of things. And
yeah, and I do some of the writing too. Like I did.
well, yeah, I'm still like the legit writing. I word vomit, you write.
Oh, okay.
Let's be fair.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, and she did do like I read through like the stuff that she pulled up for the pantheons because we have a whole like precursor like pantheon like there's like this whole thing that she like word vomited into Evernote about the pantheons and how they came together and this and that and like a bunch of stuff about them, which did not have a space in this part of it but will for other things we're doing later based on this world. But I was looking through, I was like, I will write stories all day long, and I can write a paper for school, like half-ass that. But writing stories, cool. Writing the flavor stuff and like the descriptive text, cool. Well, the whatever she put in there is not something that you will find me doing in any way, shape, or form. I will not fall down that rabbit hole and write a book report.
But like, don't get me wrong, I can still like, I have about, although I think I've lost all of them because I'm an idiot. Uh, I had 10 novels started in various ways, shapes, and forms.
Yeah, no,
And I
you're
had
right.
one specifically where I had like 2 chapters done, and Kat read it, and she's like, "When are you gonna finish this, bitch? I want to read it."
I'm still mad at you because you fucking lost it. Never to be heard from again. I'm never gonna know how that story ends.
I still have it in my head. I can still bring it out.
Then bring it out. You don't. I write stories, and I do all that stuff, and I'm starting to expand, get back into that so I can actually do it. Because if this shows me one thing, and this should show anybody else, is really you just sit down and do it, and you can do the thing. Like neither one of us has ever really done the thing so much as we have this year with all of the things that we've done. And this
Yeah.
one is huge because this is something both of us have always wanted to be able to do, is to write something and publish it. So it's we learned that it is possible, even though we've many, 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 many times not done the thing, but we finally did the thing. So
I do think I find like one day I hope I've actually finished writing a novel and publish it because that would be cool. But I think that TTRPGs is a little more accessible for how our brains work and then how they work in tandem.
us together writing TTRPGs, this was an awesome experience, and it goes along with everything else that we do, where we have these complementary skill sets and we are able to do the things. But what this tells me, like about me specifically, is it reminded me that I can do the things, so I'm going to do the other things, and it should remind you that you can do the things, so you should do the other things. That's more my point. Is we do a lot of stuff together that we do great, and there are things that both of us want to do individually we can do. So that was my motivational speech for the day. Hope you all enjoyed it because it's the last one I've got. Everything else is going to be a lot of swearing and maybe beer. But also on that note, we're also very fortunate because we have met a lot of people here who are super supportive and super cool. Some of you are in the chat tonight, some of you are not, but just the level of boost that a lot of these folks have given us, and just the way to go, you guys are awesome, like the encouragement and the support, that has been super awesome and helpful to me. I feel like that just kind of helps push us forward too, because everybody has been so cool and just so like, you guys are awesome and can do the things, and that means a lot to me. And I know it does her too, even if she's tired as hell and trying to be excited but has not the energy to do so.
I'm dog sitting yet again, but at a different house, and they kept me up till almost 1 o'clock this morning, and I still had to wake up at work. So.
Yeah, so she's a bit tired. She is actually just as equally excited as I am. She's just not as wordy as I am tonight because tired. But we both do appreciate everybody for all of this and all the support we've
Yes.
gotten. So, oh, I think Michael is reading through the book. I'm super stoked you guys are looking at it, and I hope you guys enjoy this.
Yes.
We
We do
this
actually plan to have, we need to schedule it out, but we're gonna have friend Chad come and run this for a group on a stream so you can see it live.
Yeah,
We'll just have to let you know when.
because to be quite honest, we have not play tested it at all. We wrote it and we're like, it looks good, and theoretically it is sound enough to play, but we don't know yet. But because of the deadline and our schedules and the massive amount of content and just like getting all of that stuff off the ground, we're like, this was all written underneath the last 2 months of us pulling all of these long-term games together and getting them off the ground and rolling in a way that they're kind of just going and doing their thing. Like we really didn't sit down like this last week, everything was on mid-season break, and that's where I had the time to put into some of the extra stuff, finish my class, and do this. So, I mean, we wrote this underneath all of that. So, I mean, that we didn't get to play test it, so it's because of that. So if you play it and it doesn't quite work out the way you want, give us some feedback and let us know if you find some weird broken shit or shit that doesn't make sense, because we'd like to have the feedback. But
Yes.
we still don't know if it truly works. We think in theory it will, and it'll be a lot of fun, and we hope that all of you enjoy it. But we just don't know yet. But stay tuned. We're gonna try it out live on stream and see if it fails or flies.
But yes, thank you for coming to our TTRPG talk.
That was that. It's definitely our TTRPG talk. It's fucking cool.
Oh, and Ty, who just jumped into the chat, knows all about making a full-on TTRPG.
He does, in fact. And I can't wait to be able to see that sometime when he's finally ready to unleash it back on the world. And
You still can find playtest of New Varden on Time Lord Wife's YouTube, though, if you do ever want
that's
to check
right.
it out.
That's right.
Where I played a chaotic little elemental creature, surprising no one.
Yeah, shocking. I remember that. That was during your long span of I'm gonna play all of the games on all of these channels almost every day. So, and actually, it is, I don't know if it's up yet or not, but we actually interviewed with him and Aaron. So,
Yes.
for the
Adventure Sling Productions podcast.
yes. I was about to get real tongue-tied on that. That's why I stopped there for a second. Like, it was just going to come out as some sort of weird word salad that I don't even know if they would have been words.
Up on Friday, our interview.
Up on Friday. Okay. So Friday, we will be on Adventure Slang Productions on their podcast. They were awesome and asked us to be on to talk about all sorts of TTRPG stuff. And we hope that at some point, Ty and Aaron will come on our show. And we can... they can enjoy the word salad that is our show.
We've got a couple of people we want to bring on and talk TTRPG stuff, and we wanted to get this one in since it dropped and we did the thing. But most of our coming up commentaries are probably going to be bringing on cool people to just shoot the shit with us.
Yeah. Next will be Chad. We've already talked to Chad about it, so 2 weeks we will have Chad, aka North Shore DM, or Real CMG on different places. You just gotta drop the thing. Drop the thing for Chad. So he'll be our next guest, and we're gonna on and shoot shit and talk to him about his game at Threshold and all his stuff about it. So that'll be a good time. We've got a good number of people that we're pulling in to come talk, because we love just sitting and chit-chatting and getting TTRPG info from different perspectives. I had a good time with Don 2 weeks ago when he was on. That was great chat. So yep, that is it. This is our life these days.
All TTBRG TTRPG all the time.
All word salad all the time. There's a reason
Words
I made
are hard,
t-shirt.
y'all, all the time.
Yeah, that's why I made you this shirt. So, also the emotional support undead shirt.
I will be wearing one tomorrow.
If you have not seen it, go onto our merch store and check it out, because I made that one on the fly a couple weeks ago when At the Threshold was on, and I'm super thrilled with how it came out. I got mine and I love it. So you will not see me on stream tomorrow night, but I will be wearing it, and it'll be there in spirit somehow. Well, the players will see it, but you guys won't. So you guys got the selfie on Twitter the other day, though. You're fine. Whatever. So we've got that. So tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Pacific, we'll be at the Threshold with Chad. He is going to be running his awesome game with Miss Emotional Support Undead over here and all of our other awesome players. And then Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific will be Sundom Exterri, which Kristen runs, and I am in, and I play Obscura, the Netrunner, who constantly bickers with her brother, and it is a good fucking time. Tim and I are having a great time doing that. And after the last show, I was like, am I going too hard on you? Is it bothering you? Because I really went at him last Friday. I was off for the previous week, so I really had some tension to get out there. Thankfully, he is gracious and wonderful and says he is enjoying it. So, but if you want to watch me rag, my pretend character rag on my pretend brother for about 2.5, 3 hours, come join us Friday night. And we have some other amazing players on the game too. Like,
Yes.
I'm not going to sell them short or anything. It's a really fun playing with all of them. I'm really loving this game. So check it out.
Indeed. And then Monday night, we have Madness Takes Artena, another game run by me with some fantastic players. Came back from our season break on Monday, and they actually got to leave the city for the first time.
That's right.
Then on next Tuesday at 1, watercolor wizardry with our watercolor wizard Maria will be back. She's been doing maps, she's done character art, she's amazing, and we love her.
She's
and then also
in the background in our Discord, she's trolling the other players with some of her art about the characters. It is fantastic.
She made art to go with a TikTok of Brosco and Beetlebug in her or alligator form. Going back and forth, and it's amazing.
Maria's got like this wicked like sense of humor, like the streak. It's like amazing. It cracks me up.
And also on Tuesday, speaking of Misguided Magic, we'll be back with our second episode of the game Maria is running, and it's a crazy time.
Oh, it was great. I was watching it yesterday when they were playing. I'm just like normally, like I'll set the game going, and sometimes I have to get up new stuff. I sat there the whole time just watching the game. I was like, this is hysterical. I am dying. These ladies are wonderful. We've got some really great players on that too. We have great players on all of our games. We have 17 cast members, not counting us, and these 17 folks are all fantastic. Like, I love watching every single one of them do their thing. It's so cool.
And then next Wednesday will be Chaos Curiosities. If I can't come up with something good, maybe Chad will jump on and do Chaos Curiosities.
We're gonna find something to fill the space if you can't do something, because we'll do something. I don't even know. We'll just maybe Chad and I will get on and just fuck shit up for an hour. I don't know.
But Chad has said that he will step in for some of the Chaos Curiosities and do some world building stuff and other DM tips like that. So that's going to be exciting too.
Maybe we can go on and talk about how I came up with some of these mechanic things too. Yeah. So you don't know who you're going to get if Kristen don't want to do it, because sometimes she's just like, I don't know what I want to do. So.
Well, I did world building stuff, and like a lot of the world building I'm doing now is stuff that I don't want the characters to see or the players to see.
I mean, also fair.
It's
also
like
fair.
I mean, I've had fun with the DM tips and stuff like that, but there's so many of those out there that I don't know. I'm still a new DM myself, so I'm like putting some of the stuff I'm learning out there. But
I've DM'd once. So, I mean, there are things I could talk about there, and like ideally how I see it and how it worked for me when I was doing the thing. Why are we lagging?
I don't know.
Okay, I was just making sure it did not go mysterious and decide to stop like the one time it started itself on me. So I mean, I have things I could talk about too. Like, so
nice.
what we're saying is Chaos Curiosities is primarily Kristen, and it's Kristen's show, but sometimes you might be surprised about who's signing on to do the thing, because we may have a little bit of a revolving door sometimes when Kristen needs a break or just doesn't have anything that she's ready to divulge.
Because I also have on Saturday nights, let me shout out this because I've got to type it. Oop, I forgot an entire word in this. On Saturdays, I'm on Exquisite Corpse Presents, where I'm playing Candy, and we're back for season 2. And I basically do something related to TTRPGs 6 days a week.
Saturday's game should also be called Emotional Damage. So
this is fair.
Because I
DK puts us through some shit.
She's really good at it. She's fantastic
she is.
too. Like
she's very good at it.
Like, I'll be honest, I don't always have a lot of time to sit and watch anybody's stuff. So I tuned in for the first time on their season 2 premiere. knowing all the stuff Kristen's gave me in the recaps, because I'm like, so how'd it go? And she tells me everything. So I kind of had an idea going in, but just like listening to DK do the game and talk, play her characters and like the things she was coming up with, it's choice. You guys should definitely check it out if you've got time Saturday night.
Yes, and she also does amazing things with Divine Intervention on Monday nights.
I've heard,
if you're
but
not
I
tuning
can't
in
watch
for
that.
Arcana, or if you watch the VOD, it's baby gods going out and doing things. And all of DK's homebrew stuff is broken. She outwardly admits it, but it's for aesthetic and story, and it makes it cool, so it's worth it.
Yeah. See, we're airing Arcana at the same time, so I have not had a chance to catch that, but I've heard it's fantastic. So definitely check them out if you get a chance, because DK and her stuff is sweet. She's a good job. And we have Allison that plays on our channel, who also plays in Saturday's game.
Yep.
So
Abby plays in Divine Intervention, and she's in Misguided Magic. We've had Wraith, who plays in both Divine Intervention and Sister Cities, on for some one-shots.
I'd like Wraith to come back and play again. I had a good time playing with them.
Yes.
Seriously.
Yes.
That was the last Masquerade with Wraith. And that was a good time.
Yes.
So
we all looked fabulous that night.
I was so proud of that costume. Like I bought the jacket like 2 weeks before, and then I went out without the jacket in my hand and picked out the shirt and the tie and matched them perfectly. I felt so like suave in my suit. It was great.
And now you have something fancy for outside of it when it's cool, because fuck Arizona.
yeah. That I'll have to figure out some sort of mechanism where, because it's pretty heavy actually. So it's like a velvet, like a red velvet coat, and it's heavy velvet. I'm glad that we played that game in spring, because we played it right now, I would die. Actually, we did last Masquerade in May and it was too hot. I ended up just wearing the shirt and the tie. I was like, and the vest. I had a vest too. I was like, Lexian does not have the coat today because they are not in the fucking mood. That's what I went with.
But again, thank you all for coming out and hanging out with us. Thank you to everybody who's purchased it.
Yes,
that's exciting.
You guys are amazing.
We've done the thing, and we've sold the thing.
We appreciate your support, and you guys are awesome. That's all I got. Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
Oh, wait.
What?
Cat. Hey,
what?
Look, your cat. Where can we find you?
Oh, fuck. Where can they find me? Right here. This is all I do. I have never been on any other channel or any other place. This is here. So if
we can find you on Twitter.
You can find me on Twitter. Occasionally I post some selfies of me in a t-shirt or with a beer. So I'm Autumn Knox on Twitter, and Friday nights I play in Sonum Exterra, like I was talking about. And every other Tuesday, or not Tuesday now, Wednesday, we moved the show. Every other Wednesday, we are on Chaos Curiosities, where you can listen to me babble like an asshole for an hour. And the rest of the time, I'm behind the scenes running the show, because that's what I do.
And I am Kristen, and you can find me on the internet at Darthrealish, where I occasionally remember these days that I have social media, because I've been overwhelmed. So.
Some days I am on it with Twitter, and I am commenting on everybody's shit and posting, then I'll be off of it for like 3 or 4 days. I'm like, oh, hey, there's life on here. I should probably pay attention occasionally.
Yes. But that's us. That's our show. That's our TTRPG. Thanks for coming out, y'all.
Good night.